in the elevator?
You just drive from Long Island?
Yeah, but it really wasn't raining there, and I figured it wouldn't be a problem. And I was shocked that
Yes,
how bad it's been.
thank you. Okay, we can begin. Let's welcome to the August 6th meeting of the Rybrook Zoning Board of Appeals. With us today, as you can see, we have 4 of the 5 members. We're not sure of the arrival of the 5th, but each application has the option to delay the hearing for your application for our next meeting. And if you are making a presentation today, please come to the podium, state your name, the nature of the variance, and if you're an agent of the applicant, who you are. With us today, we have Village Council Bob Zitt, Village Building Inspector Steve Hughes, Board of Trustees Liaison David Heiser. We have 3 applications this evening, so if you want to delay, you can make that decision anytime up to and including your applications being heard. The first application this evening is ZBA 24-013, adjourned from the June 4th, 2024 date. Joseph Nerenberg, 9 Country Ridge Drive, widen full length of driveway and install stormwater management system. Please.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. My name is Daniel Tartaglia, 800 Westchester Avenue, Rybrook, New York. I represent the Nerenbergs at 9 Country Ridge Drive. We've been here, well, first of all, thanks everybody for braving the weather to come out and making a quorum. When we were last before you, we had made a case for an expansion of the driveway leading to this residence in an effort to increase the public safety in terms of access in and out of the driveway, to add to the maneuverability of vehicles so they don't have to be backed out into the street and turned around and backed in and out from tandem parking. And most importantly, for the convenience of the homeowners who are living in a house that is the only house on the street that has a single width driveway, single vehicle width driveway. Every other house on the street we demonstrated has either a turnaround or has a wider driveway. We had made a presentation to you about the definition of parking, what a parking structure is. But most importantly, after the last meeting, we took the board's comments and thoughts, and what we did was we made an appointment with the building department. We sat with Stephen Hughes. We brought our engineer, who was not at the last meeting, Greg Cacciapoli, and we modified the plan to reduce it, and thereby reducing the requested variance as much as possible, while still being able to maintain what the homeowner is trying to accomplish, which is the safety, maneuverability, and convenience of the wider driveway. So what I'd like to do is turn this over to our engineer, let him walk you through the changes that were made, and then we'll be here to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Greg Cacciapoli, engineer on the project at 9 Country Ridge Road. Currently, as the driveway exists, it is approximately 9 feet wide. Do I have to?
Yeah, no, we have a portable mic if you're going to be mobile.
Sorry.
In the meantime,
Okay. Well, the existing existing driveway is approximately 9 feet wide. The curb cut is 13 feet wide. We are proposing, or the last proposal before you was a curb cut that was approximately 23 feet wide and a driveway that was 18 feet wide. Since then, we have reduced the driveway to 16. Since then, we have reduced the driveway to 16 feet wide from 18, reduced the curb cut to 20 feet wide from 23, and those are the largest changes that were made. We provided a schematic showing the reduction in area, which is here on the third sheet hatched. We have provided stormwater management to capture runoff from the existing home and basically from the front half of the existing home, which is not required, but the homeowner still decided to do so. And those are the main changes and what we're presenting here.
Okay. Well, we certainly appreciate your revisiting the application, and we certainly appreciate the stormwater management component of it. Also, I thank you for presenting the neighboring properties, and the single or double width driveways. That's always very, very helpful, the more information we have. The only question I have, and I'd like you to address it, is that as you reach the curb, you're flaring out 2 feet on each side. Why is it 2 feet in 4 feet total? Why do you need that much of a flare out? That's the only question I have for you.
It's mainly to make the turn coming from the south. It's more comfortable turning and not having to drive onto the grass area. Right now, Mr. Nerenberg has to make a very wide turn to get into the driveway, so we tried to eliminate that. And why drive on the grass in the right-of-way when we can widen the driveway by 2 extra feet and make it comfortable?
Actually, it's 4 feet. It's because it's 2 on either side.
2 on either side, but I was referring to the south side when I was just speaking. Same applies to the north side, pulling out of the driveway or in from the north.
Correct. There's it's kind of a blind turn coming north to south, and alongside the property, here, it's all screened. So if a vehicle is coming from south to north, let's say it's an Amazon truck making a delivery, they've got to pull into the oncoming lane to pull into the driveway if the entrance is too narrow. Either that or go over the grass. So they're either creating a situation where they're pulling a vehicle into an oncoming lane around the blind turn where there's a lot of screening along the side of the house. You can't even see it until you're right on top of it. I just drove it again this afternoon. Or if they're coming from the other direction, if they cut it too close, they're going to go over the lawn. So that was the theory behind the apron.
How far from the driveway to the bend? Because I don't see a number of houses or a photo from the driveway to the concern that you have that from a car coming north, because you can pull in slowly and look, and I can't visualize exactly where the curve begins, but the reason I ask is I have the same issue. I think I mentioned it last time, where I am on a pie-shaped property with a pretty big curve on Winding Wood, and I have the same driveway, flared to the left, and narrowed into a single car. So I think I'm so close to my neighbor on one side that one side is straight, and one side's, I believe, a little flared on the other one. So I'm kind of sensitive to, the layout. But so I'm just trying to figure out if you're coming off not Country Ridge, if you're coming off, is it Fairlawn or what's the next one? Off Ridge Street, I assume. You're making a right on Country Ridge. The house is on the right, correct?
Correct.
Where does that bend begin? Do you know?
Are you talking about the bend?
The bend that about the concern you're worried about the Amazon truck or
It's
something?
coming north to south.
Correct. So it's coming from facing you. So that's what I'm trying to ask from
It's
where the.
about 100 to 150 feet from the driveway to the beginning of the bend.
Yeah,
And at night, you'll see lights. In the daytime, it's probably more dangerous than at night.
yeah, I'm not so sure I agree that 100 feet is a blind curve, but, you know, I mean, I understand there is a curve there.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out the distance.
Yeah, and I'm just, I'm curious, though, what the concern is when the variance we're requesting is really a restriction on all-street parking.
Right.
This really has nothing to do with parking.
I was going to ask you to, for the benefit of the viewing public, to just speak to that 25-foot restriction that's triggered by this, by the nature of this application.
There's a section of the code, it's in the General Supplementary Regulations 250-6G12D2, excuse me. And it restricts the development of off-street parking within 25 feet of the front line of any resident district except the RA-1 district, which I believe is only,
The condos,
it's Avon Circle.
yeah.
So everywhere else in the village, you can't really, even though you see them, you know, I drove up Ridge Street, there has to be dozens of houses that have done that, but that's technically in violation of the code, which is why we're seeking the variance.
Okay. Well, our concern is the smallest possible variance, you know, and that's what led you to, for the revisitation. Jamie, do you have any comments there?
No, I'm good.
Joe?
No, and honestly, I don't really have a major problem with this, very bluntly. Is there a need for the flare-out? Questionable, but I do think it makes it a little bit safer.
And you can't do it on one side without the other,
Exactly,
because it needs to
exactly.
be symmetric. I agree.
True.
Right. Let's see, Glenn, do you have any concerns, additional concerns?
No.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience who wants to speak in favor of the application? Anyone in the audience who wants to speak against the application? We have not received, in my understanding, any letters pro or con with respect to this application. Okay. All right. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
Okay, public hearing is closed. Okay, I have to, you know, commend, like I did before, the revision
Yeah.
from the nature of this. The only reservation I have, and it does not directly apply to this, but it's a future concern, and it's a variation of the concept of creep that we've talked about. What we're doing is we're blowing out the driveway on the side of the house, and it's a one-door garage. And I could see the applicant this time, or the next applicant, the next owner of the house saying, why don't we put another garage here? To match the width of the driveway which we just granted, let's say, on August 6th. I was trying to think of,
Would that require a variance?
I don't know, but my concern is that I tried to figure out, is there any way in my mind to condition it, and I couldn't come up with it. It's basically a good faith going forward, that if and when an application comes before us that says, now that we have the driveway, we took the big tree down, we certainly can use another garage. So here they are before us.
And reversing that around a little bit, somebody could always say, I want another garage, I'm gonna build that now, let me get the variance to make the driveway wider for that garage.
No, but
They can do it either way.
yeah, but you'll have the variance, let's
Yeah.
say, for the driveway. And there's gonna be a space there with, I presume, vegetation behind it. And I can see someone say, let's build another garage, but that's a chore for another day,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's not our issue tonight. And I certainly don't want to hold the current applicant responsible for something, a hypothetical that may happen in the future. But that was my concern. Let me go through the 5 factors with you, and then we'll go toward the resolution. Do you feel it will create an adverse impact to the neighborhood?
No.
Do you think that this is the only way the applicant can get what they want without not getting a variance?
Yes.
Yep.
Do you think the variance is substantial?
Yes.
Yes. It's self-created,
Yes.
right? And will not have any environmental, physical concerns. And the fact that they're putting a stormwater management system works in their favor. Okay? Let's go ahead and read the resolution. Whereas application has been made to the Zoning Board of Appeals by Joseph Nerenberg, care of Gregory Cacciapoli, P.E., applicant for an area variance in connection with the proposed widening of the entire driveway length and installation of stormwater management systems on a property located at 9 Country Ridge Drive in an R15 zoning district, said property being known and designated on the tax map of the Village of Rybrook as parcel ID 129.60-1-27. And whereas the applicant seeks relief from the following requirement of the Rybrook zoning code, 250-6, Section G, Part 1, Item D. Unenclosed off-street parking shall not be developed within 25 feet of a front lot line. The proposed driveway widening will result in an unenclosed off-street parking within 6.16 feet of the front lot line, thereby requesting a variance of 18.84 feet. Whereas a duly advertised public hearing was held on April 2nd, 2024, and continued to June 2024, at which time the applicant requested an adjournment for the purpose of submitting revised plans, and all those wishing to be heard were given such opportunity. Whereas the public hearing was continued on August 6, 2024, and closed on August 6, 2024. Whereas the proposed action is a Type 2 action pursuant to the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, and accordingly no further environmental review is required. Whereas the board, from the application after reviewing the premises and neighborhood concerned, and upon considering each of the factors set forth at Section 250-13, Section G, Part B, Item 2, Part B, Sections 2A through E of the Rybrook Code, finds, 1, the requested variance will not create an adverse impact to the character of the neighborhood. The benefits the applicant seeks cannot be achieved through another method feasible for the applicant to pursue that does not require the variances. 3, the proposed variance is substantial. The requested variance will not create any adverse impact to the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood. And 5, the need for the variance is self-created. Be it resolved that the application for variance from Section 250-6, Section G, Item 1, Part D of the Rybrook Code to allow unenclosed off-street parking within 6.16 feet of the front line when 25 feet is required is hereby, provisionally granted until we vote, for the following reasons and upon the following conditions. 1, no permit or certificate of occupancy shall be issued until the applicant has paid in full all application and consultant fees incurred by the village in connection with the review of this application. Okay, sounds good? Okay, let's vote. Steve is excused. Glenn?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
Joel?
Yes.
Don? Yes. Okay, application approved, 4 yeses, 0 nays, 1 excused. Congratulations. The long road has finally been passed.
Long driveway.
Thank you. Bob, there you go. Okay, our second application is application ZBA 24-012, adjourned from July 2nd, 2024. Excuse me, Bob, can you fill in that blank? Okay, thank you. Michael Rifelli and Laren Webber, 43 Rock Ridge Drive, construct a second-story addition and interior alterations. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
It's very
Second.
formal now. Okay,
Yes.
public hearing is open. Thanks to Bob. Okay, it's all yours. Nice to see you again.
I was away in July, sorry. Okay, so this is 43 Rock Ridge. It's a split level. Okay, so that's the house. These are the house neighborhood. Proposing to do. Okay, so we're proposing to do a second floor, master and an office or study on the second floor over the living room, dining room, kitchen of the house, and then renovate the first floor a little bit. So we're kind of working with the house, not doing a ton of work to it. So we're here for, that's what the front's gonna look like. That's what the side's gonna look like. Alright, that's what the rear is gonna look like. So, we're only going over the main part of the house. It has a piece that sticks out the back with a porch, which we're actually not going over, so we're just going over really the square of the house and the living room, dining room, and the front part of the kitchen. So we're here for two variances. One is for the gross floor area, because the house is allowed 3,011 square feet. With the addition, it's gonna be 3,331 square feet, so we're looking for 320 square feet in FAR. And if I go back to the front elevation of the house. Go back to the other. The top, the gable of this roof is slightly off because of the height setback ratio. So that's off by 0.07. And I really don't want to cut it on an angle because, you know, I hate the way that looks. And I don't want to start cutting the roof over the bedroom to make it match. So I don't think anybody would notice that it's 0.07 too high. So those are the two variances we're seeking. So other houses in the neighborhood that also did get variances, we have 38 Rock Ridge, which got a variance for, it got a variance for 760 square feet back in, I have it here, it's 760. And I have actually the variance and the property.
I don't know. I already gave it to him. You got it?
Everybody got one?
Yes.
So this is just down the street from it. And then we have 4 Bobby Lane, which is behind it, which got 705 square feet. Bobby Lane had a bigger first floor, because they actually had a piece out the back of the house. When they put the second floor piece on. inconsistency to the neighborhood, and the house will blend in with the other houses in the neighborhood.
Hopefully you understand the reason why we pushed this to the August meeting was we did not want to set a precedent of doing anything on the fly.
Oh, yeah, no, that was our mistake for, we had rushed it and we had made an error on one of the variances, so that's
Okay.
fine.
Yeah, I hate to do that to an applicant, but, you know,
Especially when I'm away, no kidding.
Because I don't remember this, but I remember that, but I don't remember you.
Todd from my office was here, I was away,
Oh,
so it was kind of, yeah.
and he did a good job,
There you
except
go.
it wasn't you.
It wasn't me, there you go. Well, that's good, he does a good job, then I can send him more often, I don't have to go.
Gotta get the numbers right, though.
Yeah,
What?
The numbers right.
yeah,
Once in a while, you
Yeah.
know, it happens.
send them out in the field without a glove.
Yeah.
That's why I sent him to the meeting, no joke.
Yeah.
That was in the back of my mind, but
But
nevertheless.
then I sent him because yeah, no, there you go.
Yeah. I just think that the GFA, you know, you've been on this road quite a bit. You know, the question I always ask is, have you wrestled with alternative designs, and is this the one that you absolutely have to have, and why?
This is the one that made the most sense because, in theory, for what we're adding, we're getting the most space. Because if we had played with pushing out the back of the house on the lower level, we would have added on 2 levels, and we would have added more space underneath that we didn't necessarily need. So this really gives us the better. It's more efficient with adding less space, and we're only asking for 300 and what were we asking for?
10%.
So this is much smaller than the other ones that we've gotten. So we definitely did keep this tight for A, space, and B, budget.
Okay. All right. Jamie, do you have any questions?
Seems reasonable.
Okay. Yeah, I was comfortable with the application last month for content.
Right, right.
You know, we had to hold it up because of the procedure.
No,
so-
that's fine.
All right. Okay, is there anyone in the audience who wants to speak for the application? Anyone want to speak against the application? It's my understanding, we haven't had any written comments, which I'm surprised lately, we haven't had too many written comments, for pretty much anything. So I'm not quite sure why, but it is what it is. Can I have a motion then to close the public hearing?
Motion to close?
Okay, going through the 5 factors, you know, I think that one variance is substantial and self-created, but I don't think the other 3 factors are of concern, all right? You comfortable with that?
Yep.
Okay, let me read the resolution. Okay, yes. Whereas application has been made to the Zoning Board of Appeals by Michael Rifelli and Laren Webber, collectively the applicant, for a gross floor area variance and height setback ratio variance in connection with the proposed second-story addition and interior alterations and property located at 43 Rock Ridge Drive in an R10 zoning district on the south side of Rock Ridge Drive, approximately 200 feet from the intersection of Rock Ridge Drive and oh yes, it's one of those unique labeling situations that used to cause me great confusion when I first bicycled there. Said premises being known and designated in the tax map of the Village of Rybrook as parcel ID number 135.27-1-65. And whereas the applicant seeks relief from the following requirements of the Rybrook zoning code. Section 250-22, Part E, the maximum allowable gross floor area is 3,011 square feet. The proposed second-story addition will result in a gross floor area of 3,320 square feet, thereby requiring a gross floor area variance of 320 feet. Secondly, Section 250-22, Part I, Section 1, the maximum allowable front height setback ratio is 0.80. The applicant's proposed second-story addition will result in a front height setback ratio of 0.87, thereby requiring a height setback ratio variance of 0.07. Whereas a duly advertised public hearing was held on August 6, 2024, and continued to and closed on August 6, 2024, at which time all those wishing to be heard were given such opportunity. Whereas the proposed action is a Type 2 action pursuant to the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, and accordingly no further environmental review is required. Whereas the board from the application, after viewing the premises and neighborhood concerned, and upon considering each of the factors set forth in Section 250-13, Section G, Part B, items 2A through E of the Rybrook Code, finds that the only concern among the 5 factors is that it's self-created and the variance is substantial. The other 3 are not problematical, so I'm not going to bother reading them. Now, therefore, be it resolved that said application is hereby provisionally granted on the following conditions. No permit or certificate of occupancy shall be issued until the applicant has paid in full all application and consultant fees incurred by the village in connection with the review of this application. Okay? Let's take a vote. Stephen, once again, is abstain, actually, he's,
Excused?
yeah, I don't have that option, so I'm gonna write it in.
Oh.
I was looking for it, couldn't find it.
At this point, I presume he's not coming.
He's
Yes.
here.
Glenn,
Oh, yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Don, yes. Application approved, 4 yeses, 0 nays, 1 excused.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Didn't even see him come in.
There you go, Bob. Same situation. Okay,
Didn't even see you come in.
quiet as a mouse.
Oh, I saw him come in.
Welcome.
Sorry about that.
PC fixed?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, the next application is ZBA 24-013 Randy Hamlet and Marie Hamlet, 21 Country Ridge Circle, construct front patio, deck, circular driveway, legalize patio, and remove concrete patio. Once again. You can introduce yourself for those people who are just tuning in, you know.
Okay,
since-
John G. Scarletto Jr., architect for the Hamlets. Let's start with. Okay, so this is 21 Country Ridge Drive.
Circle.
So right now it has a wide driveway that comes down and turns into the garage, and then you've got this concrete patio that's beyond the garage. You've got that patio's behind the house, above the retaining wall, and then that's the rear deck that we're here to replace. Except for when we filed to replace it, we found out that the side of it doesn't meet the setbacks. Although the house was always built with the door out the back and out the side. Deck's been there, as you can tell, for a really long time.
It's a little scary looking deck.
It's a little scary, which is why they're replacing it. And we're just replacing it the way it is. We're not changing the size of it. We just want to redo it in new material. So that's.
I hope stronger looking supports.
Right, and that walkway deck, that deck is just kind of like the walkway that comes out the door off the kitchen that goes out to the deck. So, anyway, so those are the photos of it. So those are the photos. Let's go.
John, when this house was built, was that reinforcement put there so the house can be at street level?
I mean, I guess back when they built it, they did, they must have done the retaining wall, right? Because the basement's actually tall, because the basement's back there, and that retaining wall, I guess, was to work with the grades and getting in the garage. So this is how the house was built in 1965, I think. I can't say that was any house that I was in as a child, so I don't really. I was in other houses on Country Ridge as a child, but not that one.
Steve, while John's doing that, can you just comment on the pre-existing condition?
Yeah, sure. So the records don't contain a lot of files on this particular house. The original house was built in 1957, and it's not a floor plan or not a construction plan, but it does show on the application that the original house was about 1937 square feet. So almost about.
There is a plan on the house, right? But it's like, it's like backwards.
Yeah, it's like a backward plan. It's not a full. It's like a blueprint. It's not a full plan. There was obviously
They did
some
in 1954.
improvements that were done. Yeah.
They had the same plan, and they built them on all
Yeah.
different lots, and they built them backwards, and.
Yeah, there was some improvements that probably were done between then and now that, probably they took liberties and did some things, and so now we're trying to
On the
kind of
first floor, there was
upkick
like
the
a
lake.
maid's room and
Right.
something that was all
Yeah.
open, right?
Right.
There were discrepancies in what was done over the years, but the house was pretty much very similar.
Yeah, the footprint.
Right.
There's the basement that, has the vaulted ceilings, but I think now they want to kind of refresh it and kind of update it, which is going to be part of the reason why they need the GFA variance.
So
Right.
Well, I think I mean, nothing in the house is changing as far as the bulk, which is what the GF, right, the floor area is. Yeah, but it's not changing the FAR of the house. The FAR of the house is still existing non-conforming, because, like, we're not changing the volume of the house, and the volume above grade is what it is, right? So the house is just, if you're filing the house in today's zoning, which, realize today's zoning didn't exist with FAR back when this house was built, right? We didn't have lot
the
coverage
limitations,
and,
right.
we didn't have all these issues. You had the biggest 2.5-story box you could build within your setback, back when this house was built.
Yeah,
So-
that's what I wanted for the viewing public.
Right.
What made this a pre-existing? And it was,
So what's making this non-conforming is the change of the code in like 2004.
Right,
or
exactly.
Right, because the house was built in 1957, and now it's kind of coming
Right.
up to code, today's code.
Right, so, I mean, if we're here for variances, then it makes sense to just bring it all up. And the other issue was the setback of the deck, because if, I can figure out
Because, John, in previous discussions of decks, which you may or may not have been privy to in an application, when a significant part of the deck was needed to be replaced or had to be repaired, the question was to adhere to the current code.
Yes, we have
so-
doors coming off the side of the house that we weren't planning on eliminating, so that's why we can't make it eco. So if we're looking at, okay, so if you look at our setback line, which is the angle, right? This walkway deck is basically what's in violation. The deck off the back of the house is pretty much okay, but this edge of it, and it gets tighter as you walk off here with the grades. That's kind of why they did it that way. So there was always a door off the kitchen onto the side of that deck, and the original plan of the house shows a door there, and then showed a door in the family about the back. So the deck was always an L, and to be perfectly honest, the house to the left, which I did work on a few years ago, had the same thing. It was a door off the kitchen. It's pretty much the same house, and it has the exact same thing, except for it sits on a slot better, so it's not in violation. So, I mean, if you look at how much building envelope, because the property lines aren't even, and the building envelope is kind of an angle, so, like the way the house is shoved in there, the deck is just off it. If the house was angled, it probably could have worked, but the house was built kind of straight and not parallel to the side property lines. So that's why we have like the triangle happening.
So the defense for having the existing side part that's in violation is because there's a door there?
There's a door there going out to it. And also, I think it's also because the terrain of this property is so drop off in the back and higher in the front that it made sense to be able to get off closer to the front. But it is the door on the side of the house, which.
I mean, technically, we don't know when the door went in,
Well, the door's
when
on
that's
the
like-
original plans of the house. So the
okay.
original house showed a door off the kitchen out the side, so we know that there was a door at the side and the back. It showed a maid's room that disappeared between the two. But there was definitely, And the house next door is the same house with, very close to the same house with the exact same door off the kitchen, door off the back. And the deck runs in and out.
So if, creating an argument here, not necessarily one that I hold, that if you knock that off completely, you would have to incur the expense of closing that door and replacing it with either a window or just
Right, you would have to close up the door.
right,
And then lose it, and then also your only access to your deck is now going all the way through the family room to get out.
Exactly.
Getting outside, out of the kitchen.
okay.
How,
Those
how
are
wide is
kind of
that,
the two problems.
how wide is that portion of,
That portion
Deck.
of the deck is like 4 feet. It's
Yeah.
like a 4-foot
So
walkway.
walking, it's just for walking, right?
It's really walking, you can't even put furniture on it.
Right, right.
But we weren't looking to lose it because it makes sense to get out and either go towards the front or go towards the deck and get out from the kitchen.
Yeah, I just want to explore an alternative, so that if you reject that, you have to assume that something else
Right,
will replace it.
I mean, if we couldn't get the variance to do it, then we'd have to reduce the back deck slightly on the left, and they'd only have a door out the back and a stairway to the backyard, and then there'd be nothing on the side, and they'd have to just, get rid of the door that's there and change it to a window, but they're not really looking to do that because they bought the house this way, and it's been, as you could tell how old that deck is, I mean, it's obviously been like this for like 30, 40. To me, it's been like that since it's been built, because the door is on the original plans.
You can see this plan here. I don't know if you have it, John. Do you have the plan?
Let me see if I have it.
No,
I have to just go
I'll accept the fact that was there for quite some time. It looks like it's,
It doesn't show the deck. It shows a sliding door there.
yes,
But it doesn't show it,
okay. Right, okay, good. Let me see this. The other issue that I had, John, have you finished the, your
Well, that's as far as the deck, yes.
good, keep going, Dan, sorry.
Okay, so we were here for the deck for, right, you need a 15-foot side yard setback, and we only have 9.5, so we need 5.5 for the single side yard. And then, of course, the single's off, so then the total of the 40 is off. So we need 40, we have 36.7 with the 2, so we need a 3.3 total of 2 side yard setbacks because the side deck is off. And then our next issue is the house is over on impervious coverage because the driveway's wide and we have the patio and everything else. So we looked to bring the house into the total to bring the impervious coverage to what's allowed on the lot. So we are taking out the concrete patio that's beyond the driveway, and we're reconfiguring the driveway. Now, part of dealing with this with the expense and doing it, the homeowner has 4 kids that are at the same age, which are sitting here, and they're all going to be driving next year. So they have a big concern because they have new drivers, they have 4 at one time, they have the cars. There's a lot of kids in the neighborhood, like little kids, because a lot of the houses have turned, and a lot of the houses in the neighborhood have a circular driveway or a driveway that you can drive out, so you have the 2 entrances and exits. So because they're on the curve of Country Ridge Circle, the house to the left has a circular driveway, the house across has a circular driveway, and actually it enters right opposite their driveway, so when you back out, like, you have to be careful because the 2 drives are across from each other. And then 2 up to the right, to the left of them have circular driveways, and there's another one down the street. There's a lot, if you drive through Country Ridge, there's a lot of houses that have the circle in front. So in reconfiguring this, the owner really wanted to put in the turnaround in the front so that the kids wouldn't have to back out onto the road. They could back out from where the garage is and then drive out the driveway, so that they're not driving out onto the road. So that's why we're proposing a circular driveway for a pullout, and that created the front yard impervious issue. So we're allowed 35 square feet, 35% of the front yard can be covered, and this puts it to 46. We tried to keep it tight, so it's an 11.9% in front yard impervious, but we did bring the lot to meet its impervious total coverage. right? So the maximum, right, and then the last variance is for the gross land coverage, which is just, if you do the FAR in today's world, the house is too big.
You know the variance goes to the property and not to the applicant who currently lives there.
Yes.
So when you suggest that Rybrook forever, until my kids turn 18 and we move out of Blind Brook because of tax issues,
Well, as we all know, some people don't move
and
when their kids leave.
some
Like me.
people and some people may have two adults moving into the house. So the fact that there are 4 drivers or 4 kids and adults, I'm not that concerned about that, because if they pass the driving test, should be able to back out of a driveway, you know? So that argument that 4 kids are gonna be driving and,
Well, I'll let the homeowner.
yeah, I understand that, but giving another circular driveway, my first reaction was, why? And then when you drive through the neighborhood, I was very, very surprised at how many circular driveways there are
So there's definitely the precedence of circular driveways
in that area. Not everywhere, but in that area.
In that vicinity, there's definitely a lot more. When I went taking photos, I found a lot more than I thought.
And when you go into an R25 zoning district, you have very few, you know, which seems to be odd. You know, in an R15, in that area, you have a lot of circular driveways, and everyone would like a circular driveway. I know I would like a circular driveway.
So apply for one.
But in that area, that argues for the existence of another circular driveway, the fact that it isn't breaking new ground. But that's the part that bothered me, the fact that we would be giving a variance based on unique family situations, and it's not a hardship, such as
And it's not
physically
that-
handy.
and It's
Yeah.
not that unique.
It's not that unique. So those are my concerns, and you know, I let you address it first before I raised my concern, because I was wondering why.
Yeah, I mean, I think the homeowner should speak on the driveway aspect of it, because do you want to, I think she would want to speak on
Yeah,
that.
please come
She
to the
could probably-
podium. State your name, and I guess you're not the applicant, but your relationship to the applicant. And the microphone, you may have to adjust it.
My name is Madison Hamlet, and I'm the applicant's daughter. And me and my siblings are rare, specifically 1 in 700,000. My mom and dad tried for 10 years to have children, and nothing was working. So, and then the unexpected happened. I was born in Greenwich Hospital, June 2009, along with my 3 siblings. We're quadruplets, or as we call ourselves, the Quad Squad. We have the same needs and the same wants at the same time. We go through life in stages together. Just imagine 4 car seats, 4 birthdays, 4 bat mitzvahs, 4 graduations, getting braces, all 4 of us at the same time. 4 new drivers, 4 new cars in our driveway. Life times 4 is all we know.
My name is Michael Hamlet, and I'm the son of the residents. So, I'm a quadruplet, as you know, so we all do different sports. Like, my sisters do gymnastics, I do swimming, they do softball. We're all very busy, so we pull out of the driveway as a lot. Our parents drive back and forth from everywhere, so we're going to be driving so much that if we need to be able to drive safely, and when we drive right now, we have to back up. So whenever my mom drives, she says look for cars, because a car could come from straight, it could come from either side. So the amount of cars that drive by is a lot, because there's more entryways, and there's literally a driveway right in front of our driveway, so it's very easy to see the amount of cars.
You're not one of the quadruplets, are you?
He was a gift of a lifetime. So when we back out, it's an uphill thing, and so yes, I am very careful when I back out, and I do teach the kids from before we get our driver's license. You know, is there a lady coming with a dog, and we have a dog ourselves, and we have 15 neighbors right around where they walk their dogs constantly. We are in a circle, so we're looking for the dog walkers, we're looking for the walkers, we're looking for the joggers. A lot of women in that neighborhood, I guess men too, but mostly I see women jogging and walking. So we gotta look for them. We have to, it's an uphill thing, so we just have to be very careful when we're backing out, and that's me who has been driving for decades. So I am very concerned as the mom of the quadruplets. They're only gonna get 25% of my attention when teaching them how to drive, because they have to share the parent. They're gonna get driving school. They're in Rybrook schools. They're very bright. We're thankful for those school doors. We walk in every day, and they are in the honors classes. So yes, they're smart, and yes, they're given the right tools. There's still 4 of them. We're on the circle. There's a lot of kids in the area. So when we first moved in, and it was during those 10 years when we couldn't have those kids, there was a lot of older people in the neighborhood. If you looked, 4 houses on the right side, 4 houses on the left side, 4 houses across the street, and 4 houses across the other street. So those would be my 16 neighbors on each side. There's only one of those neighbors that are older and was there when we first moved in. So that means the neighborhood has turned, and they're all young kids. The house right across the street from us, where our driveway hits their driveway, they're all little kids that moved in, but then that particular house, they're really little. So I would say maybe age 5 and age 8. And so they're on their bicycles. They have these little plastic things in the front of the thing that says drive slowly, and they're these little plastic man things. So now my kids are gonna have to not only watch out for all the kids around the neighborhood and all the friends, and they run from house to house. So not only the kids, they also have to look for the little plastic men that they're gonna like run over those too. So we have to be really careful with the little kids that are there. We have to be careful with the backing up. We wanna give the kids the right tools. As far as you're concerned with turning over the house, my kids grew up in Rybrook. They're attached to the house, and 2 out of the 4 kids have already said they want to live in that house and have their kids go to the school that they have went to and give them the same opportunities. And those 2 kids are planning to be neighbors, and we're already looking at like our house and the house next door, or our house and the house across the street. So they are thinking ahead. So we really don't plan on turning over the house. And then I don't want the kids to have to back up. So I want to have them to go out forwards, because I feel they'll have less chance of getting into an accident. And we definitely don't want that in our neighborhood. So we'd have to move if we hit somebody. So we just want to be safe for the neighborhood. And I think it's really important that we give them the right tools. I try to do that with everything in life. And this driveway is a big not want, because I heard that word. It's for us a need. Okay, so it's really important that we have this tool and we give them the opportunity to drive out straight ahead. Yes, they will learn how to back up, and yes, they'll get all that extra, sort of driving teaching, and we, again, give them the right tools for everything in life. But I really feel like we need this driveway to make sure that they could pull forwards.
If I may, I am concerned about Don's statement about it goes with the land, not the house. And, we've been part of many hearings. You're not unique that we want to stay and we plan to stay. And I don't think that's something we really can base a decision on, because that can change in a heartbeat. That can change because the kids go to college and they decide they like being away, or someone has a new job or something. So it's really hard to base our decision on what you intend to do in the future. Again, it runs with the land. I actually would like to see, and I have 4 kids too, different ages, so God bless you. I don't know how you do it, but it's wonderful. And I know it's challenging, with a number of kids, but we all back up. And it would be helpful for me, I don't know about the rest of the board, if your concern is the safety of where the house is, more than that you have 4 kids that with an active life. Is there something that you have to show visually why this is a safety issue?
So we're on a circle, like the real circle part.
I'm sorry?
The house is on the real circle part, so like, the house is on the straight part of the circle, it's on the circle part?
Yeah, it for me, visually, it's hard for me to imagine. I'm just wondering, is there anything, John, do you have anything that shows, because I'm really looking at the safety issue here.
Here's the house.
Okay.
So you've got a circle, people coming around the circle that
Let the record reflect that I'm looking at a
plan.
plan. Okay.
There's a house there.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a circle.
So we're on the circle, and then also, as you're driving backwards, you're driving up a hill. So it's not a straight driveway, it's a up the hill driveway. So it's harder to see the dog walker and the little kid on the bicycle and the dog, the jogger and the dog walker and all the people.
Yeah, I understand. Unfortunately, I can't see the elevation from here, but I do understand, but.
I know,
but
because I pull out myself every single day, and
Oh,
I've
yeah,
been driving since I was.
Yeah, oh, I'm not disputing it. I also see when you back up that to your right, it looks to be a curve.
Right.
That people come out of, right?
Do you have any representation, John, of the driveway itself?
Well, here,
Oh, the drawing, I have the photos.
here.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
Here's
so
the
I'm trying to see, 'cause
incline.
it's not a wide left to right plot. It doesn't look like to me. It looks rectangular, but deeper than wider. So I'm just trying to imagine what the driveway would look like.
This is going away.
I
And the
think,
quadruplets are 1,700,000, which is the first thing Madison mentioned, so there's, where the first
Well,
quadruplet.
this is the, but this is the
I mean,
best
it
one
is
to
an
show.
uphill from.
yeah,
This is-
I'm gonna go to say.
But I
well,
don't think that, that miracle is relevant
Yeah.
to
But it
this.
is, because you have 4 drivers at one time, 4 new drivers. So now I have 4 times the chance of hitting the dog walker, and I have 4 times the chance of hitting the
I-
jogger. And
I
I'm
would,
worried
I would,
about it.
I would.
let's keep it
No, no,
calm.
no,
You can
I
see
would
how the houses
counter,
are curving.
but I would counter that I had 4 kids. I have 4 kids, and I've done this 4 times as well.
I'm doing it at the same time.
Okay, this is not
Well,
what
you
the
can
issue
see
is.
how they curve, because that's the house next door, that's the next one, this is the one next, and the next one goes like that.
John, what's the width
Could I
of
see
the
that again, John?
driveway
Yeah.
by the garage? What's the width of the driveway up there?
We're at the pullout with it.
Width of the driveway,
Yeah, toward the doors.
it's probably about 28 feet, 30.
So is there room for a hammerhead?
That's where I'm going.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
See, John, how many cars are there?
Well, there's 2 now.
There are going to be 6 cars. Okay. Where, John, will these cars, 6 cars, be located?
And they're each gonna get their own car?
Yes, and we're not allowed to park on the street.
Exactly. So what I'm thinking of is if there are 6 cars and you got 2 bays, let's assume, because I go by houses every day where there are 2-car garages,
And nobody uses the garage.
and the cars are outside all the time. But that's anecdotal. So I'm looking at the circular, and I'm saying, if there are 2 cars in the driveway, in the garage, and the rest of the driveway is either clear, or there are 1 or more up to 4 cars that might be there, somewhere in that driveway, or they may be in the circle. I'm trying to envision, because when I was in college, I parked in a neighbor's driveway, and there were 6 of us, and we played musical cars, because it was always the one in the front that had to get out. So the keys were left with the owners, and everybody backed out onto the street. So I'm just wondering, I'm trying to envision 6 cars somewhere there.
I mean, I'm thinking they're stacking the cars in this area here, and then they're able to pull out
Where is this area?
in front of the garage.
Okay, but the concern is if you have the circular driveway, are all the cars just gonna be parked in front of the house all the time?
Well, if they all park in the circle, then the problem is how do they get out?
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
blocking them, so the cars
Or
have
if
to
they
park
stay
on
in the driveway, how do they get out? I mean, it's going to be a challenge anyway, and
The circular doesn't alleviate the problem.
It alleviates one problem.
yeah, the backing out problem. But if you do a hammerhead and you park cars in the hammerhead, you defeat the purpose of the hammerhead.
Because then you have to back down the driveway.
Right.
Exactly. So, yeah, what I'm wrestling with is it's an enormous challenge, but it's family dependent. And you
I'd
know,
be a lot more opposed if it was in a different neighborhood and you didn't have the number of circular driveways that you do have in this neighborhood. Given that, I'm not as strongly opposed as I might otherwise have been.
Yeah, I think we are sensitive to the safety issue and the uphill issue. But as I think
Right,
we've
these
all,
are
s-
all the ones on the street.
we've all said,
I don't think it's, quadruplets is obviously a unique situation, but I don't think in terms of the safety issue, it's overall that unique.
So, John, is the
This is the one to the left.
the not diameter, the width of the circular
We
driveway?
kept the width of the circle narrow because we
Okay.
don't want people parking in it, and we were trying to keep it, so we did it 12 feet wide
Is that,
as it arced.
I have no idea, does that mean, is that a
two
normal?
cars cannot go through it with a
It's one
12
lane.
foot.
You can open your doors and get out of the car.
That's it.
Okay.
So if you have 4 cars parked in front, you
Well, if
have.
they park 4 cars in the circle, then you
Right.
defeated your purpose, because somebody.
Well, unless they go opposite ways.
Right, then you'd have the last one backing up, or you'd have to take the first one in order.
But that's not our problem. That's not our issue.
Right.
That's their issue. Our
Well,
issue,
you'd still have, but you'd still have the issue of someone backing up.
not
You can have a
necessarily.
lot of cars pulling out, backing up to let other cars out.
Well, that's.
They can use the driveway to.
Well, that was my
around.
point, if you.
Or they parked in one side, they go one way and one side. I mean, that's not our issue, how they use it. Our issue is it
Well, it plays into the safety issue.
the safety issue and the character of the neighborhood
Right.
issue.
And the character of the neighborhood issue you showed us
Well, I
is,
mean, the character, we definitely have
is-
precedence in that neighborhood of that, and then if you go out onto Country Ridge.
and
Drive,
I'm
there's a lot of
sensitive to the
houses
issue that they're on a curve and therefore some of their vision is blocked.
Right.
I mean, on the curve, they have to back up a driveway when, like, across the street's level.
The patio is going, is that right?
Patio's going, and we're working within not being over impervious cover.
So
Which right now the house.
is that's gonna be grass or bushes or something?
Right. You know, as I said, you know, showing it is in the character neighborhood is very helpful. The fact that my concern was more of the safety issue backing up. You know, it's not the miracle, it's not the quads, it's not, you know, if you're able to drive and you have a license to drive,
What about stone?
you should be able to back out of that. And that is not, I don't think that's as relevant as they make it seem. I am concerned more of the safety. If there's a hill that I don't see, but there is a curve about 2 houses to the right as you back out.
Yep.
And that to me is more relevant, that it's a safety issue for anyone backing up, even.
Right, and that's why I think those
Even
houses
Miss,
all have
is it
circles
Hamlet?
because
Did I say
they're on
right?
the curve.
Hamlet? Even Miss Hamlet backing up, whoever it is, a friend's parent backing up who's a very experienced driver, that to me would be the concern.
But John, the impervious goes to, the driveway goes to the impervious issue,
Well, the
correct?
impervious in the front yard is our issue, because we have too much impervious in our front yard.
Is there any type of water problem here?
Tonight there is.
Yeah.
I mean, not to my knowledge, there's no water problem in the front. We are gonna have to have engineering do drainage for it, because it's more than 400 square feet. So it needs to get engineering, but we didn't hire the engineer yet, because we wanted approval before we hired the engineer to do the drainage, but we have to do drainage.
So you said it's the impervious in the front yard,
Right, the total,
which
we're
is
not
a,
over.
which is a 12%.
they're
Right now, the
reducing
house
the-
is over impervious total.
By getting rid of the
lot,
patio.
But we're reconfiguring the impervious, so
So if
we're
that's
only.
the concern as to the driveway, is
So there's-
basically the impervious issue. it's, you know, it's not a, you know, I understand the safety
It's the
concerns.
impervious in the front yard, because the lot.
They're getting
won't
rid of
be
the
over-
patio. They've reduced the impervious, you know, so I think our concern as to the driveway should be more,
It's not an ARB concern,
Yeah.
that's not our issue. I mean, the issue is just do it,
If you just took out the patio, would the front yard impervious be within, or would it still
If we
be
took
over?
out the circle, yeah, yes. If we took out the circle, we wouldn't have the front yard impervious issue.
When you say you took out the circle, you mean not put the circular
If we don't
drive?
do the loop and we just do the straight driveway, our front yard is okay.
Yeah, the patio removal is to deal with the overall.
Right, no, I
Right now,
understand
the
that.
house has too much total lot impervious,
Mhm.
it's over. So we took out enough with the patios and then reconfigured the driveway enough that the total lot coverage is okay. But we put too much in the front because we're trying to get the loop to go out. And it's the loop.
And is the
that causes
hammerhead off,
front yard.
not an option for this?
Probably not gonna work.
yeah.
No,
It's not gonna solve the safety
Am I,
issue. They
am
said
I
to back
correct to
out.
assume that this is the only, it seems like you were set on circular driveway and no other options were considered? That's my impression, and I'm probably right. So
I
come
mean,
on.
we did look at other options in the driveway, but this was the preferred solution to their problem. The other ones
Understood.
didn't really, you were still doing more backing up, in their opinion.
Well,
And I still had other issues with zoning problems, because either I brought the driveway further to the back, I still had impervious problems on the lot, and then we were still trying to figure out how to, maneuver cars. So there are other options, this just is the best one to not have to back out.
That's kind of where I'm going with it as well, honestly.
What about other parts of the village? I mean, we're saying because this street has so many circular driveways, are you setting a precedent and just saying, well, just because that street has so many of them?
but that just
No.
goes to the factor of changing the character of the
Right.
neighborhood. I mean, if you go to the Hillendale area, there's.
But I also
a fair
think it's
number.
also this, I'm
But
sorry,
they're
sir.
not, but on a new construction or some, are they gonna approve circular driveways? I thought there was,
I don't know, where would they?
But it's, I think it's
That's
also a
Steve.
combination.
Well, this particular circular driver needs a variance, so that's the.
But he's, Jamie's asking if future, if it doesn't need a variance, would you still approve?
If it's within the bulk standards. you
Yeah, and
can't
it would go
reject
before the ARB for their approval.
Are we finished asking? Okay. Is there anyone in the audience, other than those who have spoken, who want to speak in favor of the application? Anyone in the audience who want to speak against the application? Please come forward.
Larry Sunshine, 17 Country Ridge Circle.
And where are you in reference to the
If
application?
you're facing the house, we're immediately to the left.
Okay.
So the expanded deck would be getting closer to our house.
Okay.
The deck's not being expanded, it's the exact same size as what's there. He's in this house here. This
Where is
the
it?
Hamlet. This is the Hamlet's house here,
Okay,
and this is his house here.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that was,
So you've been looking at this deck for several years?
Yeah, and we're happy that they're doing the renovation.
But?
Yeah, but, the houses, I've done an unofficial survey of the houses on the circle, and it appears that our two are the closest of any two there. I measured it earlier today, and from the edge of the deck to our house is only 27 feet. And if you're supposed to have roughly, is it 40?
Minimum of 15, total 40.
Okay, so we're already inside the 30 then, from a total standpoint. And on the circular driveway, yes, there's a bunch there, and that's sort of why my issue is that we shouldn't allow more. People can't park, visitors, when they come to visit us, can't park in front of our house because we actually have one of the two hydrants on the street in front of our house. So they've been parking at the curb where our two properties meet. If they add the circular driveway, They won't be able to park there. And on the other side of our circular driveway, there's another driveway within 4 or 5 feet, so you can't park there either. So now visitors would have to go 2 houses either way. Number 2, my son, who's sitting there, my wife uses the circle. My son and I pull into the side driveway and we back out several times a day, and there's been no problem. So it can be done. You got to be careful, of course, but not an issue. Luckily, no one is speeding on that street. It's a quiet little street. And yes, we're on a circle, but you can certainly see, hundreds of feet each direction. So those are my issues.
And I thought I saw the picture. You have one of the circular driveways?
Correct. Correct.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Anyone else want to speak? Okay, Sean, go ahead.
Please come up to the microphone.
As long as we don't get into,
No, it's that he doesn't want me to have a circular driveway, yet he has a circular driveway. There's a reason why there's a lot of circular driveways on Country Ridge Circle, and it's probably because of the safety issue. So he doesn't want me to have the circular driveway because he wants to have his guests to have a place to park. I am pleading you for the circular driveway so that my kid doesn't hit his wife, who is one of the dog walkers that walks back and forth a gazillion times, and all of the other dog walkers that pass by my driveway, and all of the joggers and all of the walkers. I'm pleading you for the safety of my kids and my neighborhood, because if they hit a little kid, the most dangerous person in this whole entire conversation is the 8-year-old and the 5-year-old that live right on my driveway is here, their driveway is here. If you look at those kids every day, and I should have brought a video, they have a bunch of little kids in all those 16 houses that I talked about. And what they do is they take their bike and they take their little legs and they run from house to house. They have the little man, the plastic man, in the middle of the streets. I am worried for my kids and my neighbors, and really, if we hit a neighbor, I'll be mortified and we'll have to move. And I'm telling you, I sort of see this coming. I'm doing the right things as a mother. I'm going to give them extra driving school. I have them in the Bribrook schools. They're getting their 90s. They're in the honors classes. They're in sports. I'm doing everything I physically possibly can. But for the safety, please understand, it's 4 at once. If you had 4 kids and one is off to college and one is in high school and one is in middle school, you don't have 4 kids at the same time. And I'm at 4 times the risk of hitting somebody or something. And he gets up and talks about, I need a place for my guests to park. When I'm worried about the kids hitting his wife or the kids across the street. And he doesn't have to go 2 houses down. There's the house, that old neighbor that I talked about, that's the only one there that is the original one. He's got plenty of land to park on his yard. So I just think it's very selfish that he's worried about his guest instead of the people that live on the street and play on the street.
okay,
Thank you.
Okay,
As far as the deck is concerned, that deck was there, the house was built in the 1950s, the deck was there the whole entire time. His deck was there, my deck is there, it's sisters' houses, they've always been there.
okay, everyone is certainly entitled to their own opinions. And that's why we have the forum with the microphone. And anytime you have a situation, that's why we notice 250 feet around so that all the neighbors have the right to come in and comment on any application before any of the boards, whether it be zoning or planning. So we, as I said before, I'm surprised we didn't have more people sending in comments regarding things. There being no others, any letters coming in, one way or the other? No. Okay, can I have a motion to close the public hearing? So moved. Public hearing is closed. Okay, you heard the pleas, and as I said before, my biggest concern is that the variance goes with the property. The other,
I'm sorry, I have a question. With the portico, do we need anything in relation to that? Sometimes what we do?
you mean building up over
Yeah,
the
yeah.
portico? We can always condition it if you want. But there is a,
Yeah, my concern is. the
there is a
driveway.
GFA anyway, so it's belt and suspenders. We're giving them a variance anyway, and you'd have to come for another variance if you're gonna do anything on top. So we could put it in there.
Steve, is there anything in terms of conditions, if we were to allow the driveway to prevent from doing anything else? Obviously, if they had expanded it, it doesn't give them a permit to expand the driveway in any way, shape, or form.
No, I mean, they'd have to come back again for a variance. It'd be increasing the variance if they try to do anything in that area.
Following up on what Glenn said, I think I've been on this board almost 15 years now, one capacity or another. And it's very upsetting to me when somebody promises that they love Rybrook, and then I see the house for sale. Sometimes their lots subdivided into 2 or 3 more houses, and they swore in front of us that they will be here forever. So personally, it's very difficult, but I have to discount that argument that we're going to be here forever. I just cannot base any decision of mine on that, on that factor.
I think that's fair.
This is, I think, a very unique situation, the fact that 4 Drive is hitting at one time. And I'm wrestling within my own mind, how do I reconcile that a variance goes with the property and not with the current applicant? If we go ahead and grant the variances, I think the fact that the deck has been there, for all these years, is an argument in favor of,
Yeah, I don't have an issue with the deck.
the fact that the door is
It's
there.
not being expanded, it's just being
Yeah.
replaced, and I don't think we should be asking the applicant to take the door
No.
out and.
I have no issue with the deck.
But in the past, we have. If a
If they were
deck is-
changing the size of the deck we have.
No, if it was damaged and they wanted to replace it.
Right, yeah, that has been out with, like, I remember there was a detached garage rebuilt.
Yeah, yeah.
And then if anything happened to it,
Right.
but this seems different than a garage.
Right.
Well, I think,
What?
because this is just strictly a walkway. This
It's a
isn't,
safety issue too in terms of the deck.
Yes.
I mean, either you're gonna have it or you're not.
Plus, you incur all the costs of closing it up and
Right.
so forth.
I don't,
The issue to me only, at this point, is the circular driveway. That was the one I came in with. And I'm going through the 5 factors, and I think as I go through them, it is substantial, it's self-created. The question is, does it affect the character of the neighborhood? And I don't think it does, because there are so many of those circular driveways. I mean, there are 17 houses on my street, all in an R25 zone with no circular driveways. There are very few circular driveways on Hillendale, on Woodland, and on Lock Lane.
Why is that?
Because they back out, basically.
but those are,
Hammerheads are backouts.
right, but they are straighter streets.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, that argues
And,
for,
and the house across the street from me is a corner on a bend, and they have a driveway and a circular driveway. We've talked about their basketball court, but some houses but it's a long house side to side. Some properties lay out better or can accommodate a circular drive, where I think Joel has one.
Right.
And I think the location of your house almost begs for one in a way, to kind of go with the house, right? So I think that's also part of it. Why does some have it? I couldn't really accommodate it. It would look silly, right? But that neighborhood has a lot. My concern, as I've said, just, and I don't know if anyone else has a concern, is the safety issue. Again, like Don, I'm not, and I said it, moving, staying doesn't come into my judgment here. 4 kids at one time, it's not really a factor when it goes with the land. So as much as we've heard about that, and there are 4 kids at the same time, that's not really part of what we're looking at. But I do see the safety of the curve. I wish I had a better map or drawing. I wish it was presented in a better way. No offense. I just wish I saw that, because that would kind of make it easier for me to lean towards that. And I am, and I'm not leaning. I'm just saying that is a safety thing. And you see the curve 2 houses away, and that is more of an issue for me.
See, Glenn, I've been going back and forth in my own head, pro and con. I'm looking at it as, I don't see a dramatic safety issue involved here in the situation, in the property, but I do believe that a circular does to some degree increase the safety. When I weigh that against the neighbor's concern, and as much as I feel for that concern, the increased safety factor to me outweighs that. The variance at issue, which is basically the front yard impervious, to me is not a major concern here. So I'm going back and forth, but I'm kind of, as I'm sitting here right now, I'm kind of seeing my way towards the driveway.
Approving.
Approving, yeah.
Yeah, if I didn't see the curve coming before, to the right as you're backing out, I would be less inclined to approve this, because I'd see no reason why someone can't back up, right? And if you can't have the time or unable to have them be able to back up, it's not a variance issue. But again, I'm leaning towards granting because of that curve. You come around a curve, and they're in the neighborhood. That to me. So again, although I don't have a picture and I don't have a camera, and it's pretty close. It's like a house and a half away, from what I saw in Steve's.
To me, so I live one driveway away from a very big bend, and I have 3 kids, different ages, so I didn't have to deal with it all at one time. But even me, when I'm backing out, sometimes someone comes flying around that corner in the morning. If I'm not paying attention, I'm like slamming on the brakes.
I get that coming out of my circular driveway.
Yeah. So that's an issue that a lot of people have to deal with. One driver at a time, 4 at once is I can't imagine. But my question is, going back to what I said before, so this neighborhood has a lot of circular driveways, but if somebody comes to us in 6 months from now and listens to this, and they live on a bad curve, maybe they don't have 4 kids going at once, we're going to say, well, no, because your street doesn't have circular driveways, so...
Well, that's the effect on the neighborhood.
But if you're on a flat street, no curve.
Well, I'm not talking, yeah.
Right.
Well,
I think you'd be less inclined, or someone would be less inclined to grant that than they would because it's close to a curve.
And every application is unique
Different,
to
yeah.
itself.
Yeah,
Well,
Country
but-
Ridge Circle does not have the
Here
same
with this.
volume as Country Ridge Drive.
Right.
It's like sort of like Candy Lane, it kind of hooks around. Bob, I'm going to ask you a tough question, okay, as our legal counsel. I go through the 5 factors. Character of the neighborhood, I don't think is an issue. Physical or environmental, I don't think is an issue. Is this the smallest possible variance? I'm equivocating on that one. Substantial, yes. It's a 12% variance on impervious coverage in the front, which is fairly large, and it's self-created. So when I go through the 5 factors, I don't see the word safety in there at all. And that's been our primary discussion here, safety, 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 safety. And we had a very emotional plea, which, being on this board, I've heard before. You know, people coming to tears over their situation because they see it as very personal. But we as a board have to look at it from the point of view of what are we restricted by? And those are the 5 factors. So how does one incorporate safety in that when we're not obligated to speak to that issue directly by the statutes?
Really putting me on the spot here, Don.
That's why we pay you the big bucks.
You know,
We've always discussed safety. in the
Always.
past.
yeah, it's
Always.
frankly, it's supposed to be a consideration that's in every board's,
Yeah.
or at least looming in the back of every board's mind when they're making a determination. For the purposes of the 5 factors, you know, courts like to see you guys focus on that and do so neutrally, right? But there are certainly safety considerations that boards consider that come up frequently, and frankly, you're supposed to consider it, though you're not supposed to consider it pursuant to the statute, right? So it's sort of a double-edged sword, but you know, I've seen in plenty judicial decisions where boards are sort of equivocating or concerned on one factor as it relates to safety. So that's not really an answer, but you're confined to the factors. The board has to consider the factors, but the safety of the determination that you guys make is something you should consider too.
As Joel said, it's always been discussed. I remember we had a hearing a few years ago, and there was a house off Lincoln, and the concern was the fence, and the couple wanted it was a side setback, but also frontage.
Corner lot.
Yeah, and corner lot, and they were talking about safety, their kids in the backyard, and they wanted a bigger fence. And we acknowledged the safety issue, but also believed that a large tree or hedges would do the same thing, and you didn't need that tall a fence. The point was, we did talk about safety, and that was just one example of having it. So I'm wondering, does anyone else look at I don't want to put anyone on the spot, look at that curve as a safety issue, or can you not tell?
It's a safety issue. Do I think it's a major one? No.
Yeah.
You can also make the argument that safety goes to the character of the neighborhood as well. But that would fall into there,
Or
but.
does it present an adverse impact to the neighborhood,
Yeah.
right? So again, it's not supposed to be at the forefront of what it is that you
It's
guys
an issue.
consider.
Yeah.
Right.
But as Don said, it's not a well-traveled, or I don't know if that's the right word, but a well-traveled.
That by
Right.
car, but there
Yeah.
are still a lot of
Yeah.
kids and
Yeah.
pedestrians.
So I think it's what I was saying before. Is there a drastic safety issue present? Maybe not. But I think there is a safety issue, and my point is that a circular does, to some degree,
Right.
increase the safety, given the unique circumstances of the location
But-
and neighborhood.
But combined with the fact that there's a curve, in my mind.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Right, because
That's what I'm saying.
you could always put a circular, and it's always safer.
Right.
But it combined with that curve, to me, makes it, different here.
To some degree, yeah.
Would it be inappropriate if I asked the applicant to answer one question?
No, know what the question is.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying,
In terms of.
we closed that part of it, and I,
We can move to reopen it.
So move.
okay, good. Can you please come forward?
I also have on my phone a picture of the circular if you wanted to see it.
I think we've all been there, we've all been there. My question would be, as a parent with 6 cars, where do you envision people parking overnight?
Well, there's certain months of the year that I'm not allowed to park on the street
Yeah,
itself.
we know, there's snow.
I would have to park my 6 cars in the driveway so I don't get a ticket.
Where?
So
Where are you
the-
putting them now?
The driveway the long driveway can fit 2 cars
Right.
next to each other. So I could fit 4 cars before I hit the circle, and 2 cars can go in the garage. And I would have the 4 kids in the driveway, so I would go in the garage because it's more work to get out, so I would put them in the driveway. So they would back out and go out the circle forwards.
So your expectation is that everyone will be driving out of the circle, including those in the garage?
For myself, right now, today, I back out every day, and I'm not standing here before you telling I need a circular driveway. I have been driving for literally decades, probably 4 decades if I did the math. So, and even to this day, when I pack out, I am always very conscious of the dogs and walkers and the people. So I personally am very, very careful. I pull out very slowly, and I am very awake, even if it's in the morning. And I have taught the kids when they're in the car now to look if anyone is coming, and I have practiced that for the last 2 years. So I do that myself. So for myself, I don't need the circular driveway because I've been living in the house since 2005, and I haven't had a circular driveway, and I haven't hit anybody. But for the kids, they haven't been living in the house since 2005. They weren't even born. And they're going to be a brand-new driver without the 4 decades of driving experience. And so if I park them there and then I let them go out forward, I'm really worried about the 2 little kids across the street, 5 and 8 years old, and they play. That's what they do. Like, they don't come home and do homework or math or anything. They play. And they're on their bikes, and they're with the balls, and they're with all the friends in the neighborhoods. We didn't have that when we were 5 and 8 year olds. We had a bunch of old people living around us, and we just did activities like gymnastics and swimming and softball and stuff like that. So we were more scheduled, maybe because it's quadruplets. I don't know. All I know is they have a lot of free play around the block. So around those 16 houses. So as a mom, I'm really concerned. As a mom, I try to, especially I have to do it right the first time because I only get one shot of it because it's each stage at a time. So you can't go back and say, oh, I did this with Harry. Now that Sarah is, in that stage, I can do this better. I don't get that. It's once at a time. So for the driving, I'm really, really concerned. I want them to be safe. I want them to stay alive. And I want the people around us to so that circular driveway would enable them to, it would be like a process, or that's how we run our whole life because there's 4 of us doing the same thing. So when we take bats and they were little, one goes in, one comes out. It would be the same with the cars. We would park like very organized and very structured because that's how we live.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Hey, can I ask John a question?
Sure. We opened it, so John, you want?
And just looking at these pictures again, so the concrete that's past the garage, like kind of if you're going down the driveway and then you make a left into the garage, then there's like concrete.
Proposed removal concrete rear of
So you're looking
a,
at pictures or you're looking at the?
Yeah, I'm looking at the pictures. Keep
tell me
going.
which one you're looking
Keep going. That right there. Oh, go back.
see over here, Jamie?
This one?
Yeah, that's going.
So the wall is staying, but the concrete's going. So there's gonna be all grass.
Okay.
All right, thank you. All right, so we're going to close it again.
So moved.
All right, close. It's a tough one.
I have less of a problem with the driveway.
All right, if you folks are comfortable with it, I'm going to abstain. But I think you're going to go ahead with it. I'm just wrestling with it.
That's why we're a committee of board of 5.
Yeah,
Each of
right.
us has his own opinion.
Exactly, but I'm confident that you're all going to be positive on it.
No, but
I mean, if you're not, then vote.
vote accordingly.
No, I'm going to abstain. I don't want to say no, but I'm very concerned. The emotional part of it, every parent has the same concerns.
Yeah, I'm discounting that. I mean, no offense, but
I have to discount that too.
Yeah.
I have to discount that too. I've got kids running in front of my driveway all the time, and there's hedges that block the vision. And my question is, when these children become 21 years old, okay, does that change anything?
Yes.
Because they're starting out at 16 as bad drivers?
Or the
Well, you're
kids
more
go-
experienced.
or the kids go away to
No,
college.
if they,
no
if
longer
they all
drive it.
stay home, they're 21 and they're living in
I
a
don't- I don't
house.
Well, they're
think-
40.
I think is the beginning.
Well, they're 40 because they all want to live there. Then it runs with the that's your concern.
Or they're
That's my
16 Or
concern.
they're 16, they can't see anymore.
Right.
That's my concern.
Yeah, no, I wish I could make that same decision as you.
I
because-
always can come down on one side or the other, but on this one, I cannot.
Well, why don't we?
Listen,
So let's go ahead.
I'm with you, Don.
Yeah.
Huh?
I'm with you. I mean,
Okay, all right.
I mean,
I read the 5 factors, right? And you all agree on the 5 factors,
Yes.
right?
I wish I abstained first.
What?
I wish I could have abstained first.
You haven't voted yet.
I
You
know,
haven't
but-
voted yet.
but I gotta
Okay.
make a
can you
decision.
abstain? Can multiple people abstain?
Of course.
That doesn't work.
Whereas application has been made to, by the way, if this application does not get 3 positives, it's rejected,
Right.
okay? Just make sure everyone's.
that's the rule.
A quick question, though. Do we need to vote for the whole thing as one, or are we breaking it
That's a
down?
good point.
My only concern is the last one.
Okay, well then I think you need to take them separately.
Maybe group all the others as one?
The deck
Yeah.
one, the deck ones
Yeah.
is one.
Can I do that on the fly? I'll read it as a collective, and then I'll bracket out a separate vote for you.
Don, I have a question. If safety was a concern for some of us, without really seeing definitively what the safety issue is, other than a site map, could we grant a variance for 4 of them and have someone come back to demonstrate if it's a safety issue?
I think that's, a safety issue is subjective.
Yeah, I don't think you can. You can get somebody on either side of the
Measure, yeah, I don't
fence
think
to-
it's, I think that's a subjective measure.
So are you comfortable if I collectively deal 1 through 3?
Yes.
I'm trying to play a chess game and take a couple of steps ahead. What do we do at the end of that one? Okay, whereas application has been made to the Zoning Board of Appeals by Randy and Marie Hamlet, collectively the applicant, for a series of variances in connection with the proposed construction. Now, careful as I read this. New front portico, deck, patio legalization, removal of existing concrete patio. Now, do I stop there?
Why don't we vote on those?
Well, I have to read the whole thing. You see what I'm saying, Bob?
Yeah, for each.
I'm stopping at the end of concrete patio, putting a period.
So you want to treat the driveway separately?
Yes.
But you don't have to read everything. Well, go ahead, you do what you want to do.
Okay. Property located at 21 Country Ridge Circle in an R15 zoning district, approximately 425 feet from the intersection of Country Ridge Drive, Country Ridge Circle, designated and shown on the tax map of the Village of Rybrook as parcel ID number 129.74-1-31, the property. Whereas the applicant seeks relief from the following requirements of the Rybrook zoning code. 1, 250-20, Section G, Part 2, Item A, the minimum required side yard setback is 15 feet. The applicant's proposed deck will result in a single side yard setback of 9.5 feet. Therefore, a single side yard setback variance of 5.5 feet is required. Second, Section 250-20, Section G, Item 2, Part B, the minimum required total of 2 side yard setbacks is 40 feet. The applicant's proposed deck will result in a total of 2 side yards setback of 36.7 feet. Therefore, a total of 2 side yard setback variance of 3.3 feet is requested. Third, Section 250-37, Part D, the maximum allowable front yard impervious coverage is 35%. The applicant's, wait a second. No, skip that one. That's the one I'm excluding. Now the new three, Section 250-37, Section Part D, the maximum allowable gross floor area is 3,223 square feet. The applicant proposes to legalize the existing gross floor area of 3,799 square feet. Therefore, a gross floor area variance of 576 feet is requested. Duly advertised public hearing was held on August 6th and continued to close on August 6th, 2024, at which time all those wishing to be heard were given such opportunity. Whereas the proposed action is a Type 2 action pursuant to the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, and accordingly no further environmental review is required. Whereas the board, from the application, after viewing the premises and neighborhood concerned, and upon considering each of the factors set forth, Section 250-13, Section G, Part B, Items 2A through E of the Rybrook Code, finds the requested three variances will not create an adverse impact to the character of the neighborhood. The benefit the applicant seeks cannot be achieved through another method feasible for the applicant to pursue that does not require the variances. Three, the requested variances are substantial. 4, the requested variances will not create any adverse impacts to the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood. And 5, the need for the variance is self-created. Now therefore be it resolved, no permit or occupancy shall be issued until the applicant has paid in full all application and consultant fees incurred by the village in connection with the review of this application. Okay, so now we're voting on those three variance applications. Steve?
Yes.
Glenn?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Don? Yes. Application for those three is approved, 5 yeses, 0 nays. Okay, and now we're considering the fourth variance, which is listed 3 on the resolution here. The maximum allowable front yard impervious coverage is 35%. The applicant's proposed circular driveway will result in a front yard impervious coverage of 46.9%. Therefore, a front yard impervious coverage variance of 11.9% is requested. Okay, now going through the 5 factors. So this will be second. How do we feel about the 5 factors? Substantial, self-created?
Yes.
What about the character of the neighborhood?
No.
No. What about the physical environmental conditions?
No.
What about the, is this the smallest possible variance achieved through another method feasible for the applicant to pursue that does not require the variances?
Yes.
Cannot.
I think it is the smallest.
Okay. Okay, so now we're voting on the second resolution. I think I don't have to do anything else. All right. So the second one will be SB, GB, JS, JS, DM. Okay, Steve, what is your vote?
Yes.
Yes? Glenn?
I assume I can comment before I answer.
Yes, you can.
I'm really struggling with this. As Don said right at the outset, this variance goes with the land, not the family. And I also am concerned about the safety. So I'm trying to balance these. But I'm making my decision on the fact that I cannot consider that there are 4 young kids, I would say young kids, 4 young adults learning to drive. I don't think that's a factor that I can consider for this variance. I also do not factor into my decision the fact, and because I want to be clear about this, that these are good kids that go to good schools that are smart, because that's been said at least twice. And I also will not base it on the fact that we have assurances that you will be staying in Rybrook, because we will never take that into account. So I just want to be clear that I say that. But my concern is the safety issue, period, whether it's 1 or 4. And I know the applicant, it's a big thing for the 4 children quadruplets. It's just not something I can consider. But if it was 1 child, and the same argument was made that it's a safety issue for 1 person driving, that matters to me. And when I looked at the site plan of the street and the curve, we've always considered safety, even though it's not a factor. So for that reason, that I believe it is a safety issue, could be a safety issue, backing up near a curve, I am voting yes on the application.
Thank you. Joe?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yeah, I'm with Glenn. Again, like I said, I'm on a curve, and I've raised, my youngest is 17, so I still keep my fingers crossed when he's backing up. But my neighborhood doesn't have any circular driveways, and I'm with Glenn in terms of the safety issue, but it's a struggle, because I also think if there are other parts of the community that could have similar concerns, I guess probably not 4 kids turning 16 at the same time, but have safety concerns, and that neighborhood just doesn't have circular driveways. You know, we're not, most likely, we'll look at it separately, but most likely not going to be approved. But this is it's a tough decision, probably the toughest that we've had in my 5 or 6 years. But I'm gonna vote yes as well.
Okay. And I'll abstain for the reasons, tough decision for sure. And usually I can come down, but I couldn't on this one. Okay, application approved. Application for this particular variance is approved. 4 yeses, no nays, 1 abstention. Congratulations for navigating it, and hopefully
Thank you very much.
you maintain safety. Okay, the last item on our agenda is approval of the January summary, which has not been written, so we don't have to approve it. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Seconded. Okay, meeting is adjourned.
I will not be at the September meeting.